Bitcoin falling today, plunging below 50,000 for the first time since early March, although right now we seem to be back above that level. Zack Guzman here to explain what exactly is happening. And Zack, it's interesting here when you take a look at this latest dip because it's in correlation with what we saw play out in the market yesterday.
Yeah, and increasingly, I think the longer ahead in this road we go, and we talk about this adoption cycle and what's different this time around, institutional investors getting into the game, the longer that goes on, that might be the case. We've been talking about kind of cross flows across these markets for a bit now. And interestingly, we saw Morgan Stanley through their fund and new filings talk about how much they've been able to raise amongst their investors, new filings showing pretty significant inflows there, almost $30 million from 322 investors in their first 14 days through the fund that they're doing. So we're seeing that continued momentum, but there are jitters. I mean, 18%, the drop from all-time highs to where we're at now for Bitcoin, about 5% Ether off its all-time highs. But when you look at the stock and flow, this is interesting. This is getting circled in crypto communities right now just because of these jitters. And everyone's been pointing back when we talk about price calls of north of 100,000 for the price of Bitcoin. They all go back to the historical cycle of what happens after the so-called halving, the halvening, if you will, of the mining rewards for Bitcoin miners. And that basically is projected in terms of the price and the outstanding number of Bitcoin entering into the ecosystem here. When you look and project that out, it's shocking to kind of see how we're tracking to that model right now. And still, we talk to guests who have their price calls of more than 100,000 by the end of the year. And you look at their model, it's still pretty much tracking where we're at. So, you know, you think about the jitters this week and, of course, the intense sell-off. For people new to the space, it might seem like a lot to have a 20% drop in only a matter of a couple weeks. But for crypto holders who have been, you know, through this before, it's kind of par for the course. Just buckle up. That's basically what the crypto game is all about.
Zack, do we see the selling that took place during the, I'll call it the panic? Was that in large blocks? Was it, you know, perhaps fewer people than, I mean, I can't imagine retail investors being too concerned about the potential capital gains tax increase.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been discussing that in kind of the ways that probably, you know, triggered more to do on the stock side. But when we're talking about hedge funds now increasingly getting involved here, there was talk of kind of deleveraging portfolios. And to the point there, Adam, when we talk about DeFi taking off and kind of all of this getting locked up, there are traders out there who are tapping into margin accounts here and really trading with leverage. When it comes to that, you can start to get some pretty serious leverage on some of these crypto holdings in the DeFi space to trade. And we were talking about that with FundStrat's lead digital asset strategist, David Greider, earlier in our hours, just about how, you know, the spike in Dogecoin and the jitters there, kind of how it triggers, maybe not with Dogecoin specifically, but with some other projects here, how it triggers some of these moves, and you have a lot of capital moving across different currencies. So, I mean, that's going to happen. But when you back up and look at it in terms of where we're at, I think right now it's really kind of just things that we've seen happen before in the crypto space, and the trends that we've been talking about still intact on the institutional side. Keep in mind, we've got a April 29th deadline for the SEC now to get back to Van Eck about their Bitcoin ETF and two others the SEC currently weighing. So buckle up, because the volatility is not going to be over next week. We've got a couple things to watch for too.